Do you think that's enough drink you're pouring in there?
Hey, how are you? Welcome to the show. It's a Drink with Jeff for September 24th, 2022. And we'd like to start the show by apologizing for the lengthy delay between this show and the last one. I don't really have an excuse. Everybody says they're busy. I was busy, but that's not really an excuse. We're busy. I couldn't get everything done. We've now managed to get it, and we are making an effort to clear the schedule so in the future we can be a little more responsive and on time. We are beginning to see a little structure to the show. So we want to get in because the first three shows had one consistent request from the audience. It's a drink with Jeff, yet we seem to be doing very, very little drinking. So we're going to get to that right away. The way we're going to start that out is, of course, to bring up what we'll be drinking on this particular show. All right. Here's SpongeBob SquarePants, still worthless as a presenter. What do we have, SpongeBob? Viuda de Romero Tequila, a Reposado. Very nice, very nice. Okay, I have some experience with this. It's very, very tasty, and we'll be doing a little more detail on that a little further in the show. Thanks, SpongeBob. All right, so we're back to the rest. Our next event within the show is the ongoing letters and conversation with our audience. Now, this is where we have some exciting new news. We've actually brought in our first full-time, we'll call him reporter. As you know, the first couple shows, we had a series of people wandering in and out, doing different things. It was problematic. But now, we have finally found and acquired, we're very, very fortunate. He was out of work. These things happen. But we were very, very fortunate to have picked up somebody who you may know because he was at one time the spokesman for the famous Pets.com. That's right. The Pets.com guy is now our guy for doing the reporting on the street. Here you go.
Hello, my name is Arthur. I am a Drink with Jeff's new reporter for the Letters from the World segment.
Hey Arthur, it's good to see you. I'm glad we were able to get you to come on board.
Thanks. It is great to be here. I was wondering, when do we get, paid?
Oh, yeah. Well, look, that's an HR question, not for the live audience.
Oh, okay.
Always a problem with employees. That thing with the money. Anyway, well, we do have him, and we are happy, and I assume we'll have him for at least a week because, it's a week till payday. So let's move on. He is the reporter for our Drink with Jeff Letters from the World section. So we should get to Letters from the World because that's why he's here. So let's do that. Let's get into the Letters from the World.
Letters from the World.
You gotta like that because that's our buddy Luke Jr. Or Little Luke, as Luke likes to call him, giving us the voiceover on Letters from the World. Anyway, so what we're going to do is we're going to turn it over now to our intrepid reporter, Arthur, for our Letters from the World. All right, Arthur, bring it in, boy.
Well, Jeff, it appears only one letter this week.
No.
Bruce R. from Philadelphia writes,
Philadelphia.
Hey Jeff, did you not notice that the picture-in-picture was obscuring the drink of the show view? Or was that not your first drink of the show?
It's always a problem. Always a problem. Hear me? But they were right. Bruce R. was correct. The show did make kind of a faux pas. And in all fairness, what we've had to do there is we've had to let the person go. I'm sorry. The director had to be let go. It was a terrible faux pas, a horror show, a nightmare. And because we believe in being upfront about when we make mistakes, We're going to even show you the mistake, which we didn't have to do, but we think it's important. So here we are. Last week, or the last show, and you can see, while I'm trying to drink, the picture-in-picture is covering over Mr. Zelensky. This is unacceptable. Simply unacceptable. So, we've managed to move the picture-in-picture, and hopefully that problem will not reoccur. So, as Arthur said, that was our only letter. So we can, I guess we'll wrap up the segment for letters from the world.
From the world.
All righty. Okay, so now let's move on to the gist of the show. So this is a serious topic. And as you know, we started the show, the first show we did, we involved Ms. Fonda, who was announcing that she had cancer. So, you know, this isn't really a light topic. And unfortunately, this one isn't that light a topic either. It's not that this is a downer show. It's not. But we have to be aware that the world is not a simple place, and we need to engage the world. We can't live in a bubble. So this week, I'd like to report on the passing of a person of some import that you may not know, because the people you do know, you don't have any reason to come to me for that. This woman's name is Barbra Ehrenreich, and she's a journalist. I'll bring up a picture of Barbara. Here she is. This is Barbara. Barbara was a muckraking author, an activist, and a journalist. And while she wrote many books, her two most notable books are Bait and Switch, and the one that really set the trend, Nickel and Dimed. This was a book where she was investigating what it was like for someone who was working in a low-end job. And I don't mean that in the sense of the quality of the work or the requirement or the effort. I'm talking about the level of pay. So she had written a book called Bait and Switch, and that book was about people who were working in those jobs. Before we get into her specifically, I'd like to make sure that everybody understands the phrase muckraking, because it's not really a current phrase. It's something that comes from the past. So rather than take my word for it, let's go with what Merriam-Webster says. The definition of muckrake, which is an intransitive verb, to search out and publicly expose real or apparent misconduct of a prominent individual or business. So this isn't, while it sounds bad to say someone's a muckraking person, in truth, it isn't about it being bad. What they're talking about is the fact that this is an important job being presented by someone in particular to report on something that's being done wrong. Now, due to my age, when I was growing up, the big muckraker they always talked about was Upton Sinclair. Upton Sinclair was born in 1878 and died in 1968. So without revealing how old I am, let's be clear, that's a long time ago. And in all fairness, he was dead when I first heard of him. I'm not quite that old. But his famous book was The Jungle, which was a book about the meatpacking industry in the United States, and how there was very low standards. At the time that he wrote the book, there was no FDA, and he was reporting on both the relatively horrible quality standards, as well as how bad it was for the workers who worked in these plants. His work was probably not well received at the time the book came out. I'm sure the industry hated him, but it had a major impact on the industry, on the United States, on the meatpacking environment. So these things are important. Muckrakers are not bad people. They're good people. They are good people who are trying to help us live a better life. And in no fairness, sometimes they put themselves at quite a level of risk. Now, in this particular case, Barbra is a person of the modern era. She's actually a person of my, well, not really my era, but let's say a generation ahead of me. And she did write her books not just from interviews, but she actually went out and took these jobs. So she served as a waitress. She served as a cleaning person. She actually took the job to experience the circumstance. So she wasn't writing just from what someone had told her. She was actually writing from the reality of the circumstance that was the job. These two books challenge the conventional thinking about class and religion and the very idea of the American dream. And that's important. Not because we're trying to say something bad about the American dream, but because we have to recognize that the American dream is maybe the same for all of us, but the route to get there isn't the same for all of us. And some of us have to work a hell of a lot harder to achieve exactly the same level as everybody else. It's like, as the old saying goes, right? Some people get to start in a 50-yard dash on the 45-yard line. Some of us are back at zero. Anyway, her famous quote was, and I'm reading this, "They neglect their own children so that the children of others will be cared for. They live in substandard housing so that other homes will be shiny and perfect. They endure privation so that inflation will be low and stock prices high. To be a member of the working poor is to be an anonymous donor, a nameless benefactor to everyone." I think that's very profound. I think the fact that she recognized, and that we should all recognize, that the people, the working poor, are not our enemy. In some ways, they're our saviors. Someone has to wash the floor. Someone has to change the sheets in the motel. Someone has to care for your kids. And unless you're paying them a lot of money, then those are the working poor. We should always be aware of that. The second thing I'd like to bring up that I think is critical in her, what she was trying to do and what she accomplished, was that there seems to be an ongoing riff on journalism that implies that for some reason, if you write something that's true but is not popular, you are doing something wrong. That's simply not true. The whole point of journalism is to report the facts. And facts aren't good or bad of themselves. They are simply the facts. Can a story be good or bad to someone or something? Of course. But that's not the nature of the journalist. That's the nature of the story they're trying to tell. And we should back off with trying to say that by reporting the truth, you are somehow undermining society. By reporting the truth, you're actually improving society. And that's something worth living for. So, with that being said, I'd like to move on to a toast for her, because I think that that's what you do. You toast those people who do good things because that's what they do. So, to Barbra. I don't know if she liked tequila. I really don't. But I hope she did. She looks like a person who would enjoy a glass of tequila. All right, so now on to the drinking portion of the show. All right, as you can see, this is the De Romero. It's golden, very clean. It doesn't have a lot of legs, although that only means it's kind of light. It doesn't mean it's bad. Let's take a sniff. Floral, and just a hint of wood. Okay, this is a very, very light tequila. There is no sharp bite. You don't notice the tequila until it gets about to the back of your tongue. It's all upper mouth. There's very, very little burn. Now, I took a small sip, so we'll have to see if there's a chest burn. But So far, so good. And I have to say, if you like tequila, you'll like drinking this. This is not a shot tequila. This is a drinking tequila. You sit, you drink. If you don't like tequila, you may like this because it's smooth and light. And so as a result, while it still has a little bit of a bite, I mean, it's tequila. It's not the tequila you may remember when you decided you didn't like it. So let's take a larger drink. No, that's very good. That's very good. This is definitively you don't even need ice or a lime or salt, although the salt might add a little something to it, but you don't need it. This is a good, I'm on the veranda or on the pavilion, having a tequila, looking out at the sunrise or the sunset, depending on when you started drinking, and you're happy. You're very happy. I would give this 4 out of 5 stars. I'm only holding off 1 star because I suspect it has a fairly low alcohol content. And some people think that if you don't have a high alcohol content, you're kind of cheating the deal. I don't know if that's true, but I understand the logic behind it. All right, so I'm going to finish this off with a final drink to Barbara. And I want to state, as we always say on this show, she is a good person, or was. And there are lots of good people out there. And your response should be, then I will be one. Because that's what we should all be doing. Okay, thanks. Everybody have a great day, a great evening. See you next time.